Good morning. Welcome to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Reverend Jessica Clay, the lead minister here. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm so happy to welcome you on this spring in Minnesota morning. So welcome to White Bear Unitarian Universalist. We are a community that believes we are greater together than apart. We are a community that believes in nonviolence, in peaceful resistance, in working for our values. We are a community that is dedicated towards spiritual growth and building the beloved community. We know this community saves lives and that it matters. We believe that community built on covenant can take us to a more heart-centered, loving place, right? Yes. I heard some confident yeses. And what also helps take us to a more heart-centered, loving place is the place of music in our services. So welcome to the Tuscany Trio this morning. Bill Henry, Greg Stinson, and Brett Smith, welcome to you all. Sorry to change up the order of service on you. Blessings to you, and gratitude for the gift of your music. So beautiful. So here we believe in each other, and when we forget, we remind each other of it. We hold each other accountable in loving and boundaried ways because we know that this is the antidote to fascism. We also know that the power of community sometimes cannot be contained into 60 minutes. And together we center our hearts around curiosity and care in the service of building community when a Sunday service like today's goes a little long. So we made some adjustments between the first service and this one, which is why if you are adhering to your order of service, it is different than the order we're going to go in the service of trying to help time a little bit, having one of our, I believe, participants be able to plan the youth service with the youth in the back. So there's a lot of moving pieces. So hold your order of service lightly. We come together in this church in events centered around our mission because these bolster our spirits and those within the wider community. So if you are visiting this morning, welcome. This service gives you a good taste of who we are. And after the service, if you want to get to know more about us, there will be a 12-minute intro and tour. Please meet Meredith, who's standing in the back with the sign, but Meredith will be by our fabric wall at the end of the service for a 12-minute info and tour. And for anyone who wants to join the chat with the minister table in the social hall, Reverend Jack will be there after both services. He is with the youth right now, helping them to plan their service. And he looks forward to hearing what's on your hearts today. A couple of events to tell you about this week. Next Saturday, many of us know that there's the No Kings mass mobilization rally. So if your sign has gone through it and you need a new sign, or you just want to be in community with other people who are going to be going to that, there is a protest sign making party on Tuesday from noon to 2 p.m. in the social hall. You can bring your sign making materials. There will also be some provided, and a salad bar lunch as well. Who in here is planning to go to a protest next Saturday? No shame on those whose hands are not raised. But wait, can you keep your hands up? If you want to go, but you don't want to go alone, find somebody near you with their hand up and ask them if you can join with them so that we can go together in community. Our stewardship committee is hosting 2 Meet the Moment community building meals. The first one is this Wednesday from 5:30 to 7. All are welcome. This means that all regular programming has been replaced to focus our attention on this community building dinner, and the children and youth will have pizza and a movie night while the adults eat and converse. So the first one is this Wednesday from 5:30 to 7. If you're not able to make it to that, hopefully you can come next Sunday, March 29th from 12:30 to 2 in the social hall. We believe that the very act of members and friends connecting with other members and friends enriches the experience that we offer. Please join us. A big thank you. How many of you were at the classical gathering yesterday? I hear it was just wonderful. I was sad to miss it, but it was wonderful. So big thank you to everyone who participated in it and attended it. And next Saturday, Joyanne Parker is going to be here singing her combination of soul, R&B, gospel, and jazz. This is presented by Music on Maple. All are welcome next Saturday at 7. Did you put all those on your calendars? Welcome to church today. It is so good to be together. We all get to adapt in the moment, so Reverend Jack did this in the first service, and I'm just out of practice. So it's not you. Sorry, team. Sorry. Yet. Okay, so let's join in your call to worship, which is the words are in your order of service, and I invite you to read the bold, please, and I will read the non-bold. Let's take a breath together as we receive these words. Come in. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, and the passionate is expected. Come into this place. Together we make it a holy place.
Good morning. I'm Dana Boyle, and the pronouns I use are she and her. I've been a member of WBUUC for 14 years, but I grew up in the Episcopal Church, where there was something comfortable about the Sunday rituals, singing together and reciting the same words in the company of both family and strangers. I didn't have a negative experience, but I can't say that it really fed my soul or propelled me to action in any particular way. But not long after my husband died in 2008, my son and I stopped going to church, because the traditional words and beliefs just didn't sound right to me, and I honestly just couldn't say them, honestly. And a few years after not being in church, I started having a series of dreams. They were repeating dreams that came every 6 months or so, and at first I didn't connect them, but then one day it struck me that they had the same unusual dream, and in each instance, I was living in my house, although my house was different each time. But what was similar is that one day I would all of a sudden realize there was a room that I didn't know had been in the house. I'd open the door to this wonderful room, and once it was a 4-season porch with great light. Another time I stumbled upon a basement that was fully furnished, and it was huge. It had room for dancing, and it had a movie theater, and it had a game area. And then another one was set in a tall brownstone mansion, and it had 3 floors. And then one day I opened this dark door at the end of the hall on the 3rd floor, and there was a series of steps that went up to a 4th floor. I went up, opened the door, and there was this like Baroque ballroom, just like you would see in Bridgerton if you're a fan. As I reflected on these dreams, I saw them as signs that there was an untapped chamber in my spiritual life, one that held exciting potential, and that's what made me ready to explore the kind of church experience that I hoped could finally fill that void. And as soon as I started coming here, the dreams stopped. True story. So I found a place for my dreams and passions, and I appreciate that this church provides me with relationships in a community of seekers who are trying to build and live our shared values. I feel supported to go outside of this community, and it's not always easy, but to act upon what we talk about here. And then we know that week after week, we can tag up to home base when we come back, get more questions answered, more ideas, and more encouragement to keep at it. There are so many things that have enriched my life that have come not just from the pulpit, but from you, all of you. A big deal in my life is my yard transformation from turf to natives. If you know me well, you know that. And that came directly from my experience with the Land Stewardship Committee. The Earth Ministry has given me the drive to notice, cherish, and act and protect, Dana Jackson, thank you for that, the natural world. Choir is a commitment that has made me a better singer and a better listener, and I am much more informed and motivated to advocate for many of the issues that we promote and the officials that we elect. So thank you for that too. Honestly, I feel like we're all working on our graduate degree in being good humans. And this reminds me of the chorus of one of our hymns, which I wrote about here and didn't realize was also already chosen for today, so we'll be singing it later. Here's the chorus. When the fire of commitment sets our minds and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. So I light this chalice today for the fire of commitment and finding fulfillment here at WBUUC. And will you now please join me in the opening words that are printed in your order of service and also on the screen. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Please rise and bow your spirit to sing hymn 1024. I'll lead you the first time, and let's see if you can sing it on your own second.
Thank you. I said in the first service that hymn accompaniment, I mean, that just sets the bar up here with the jazz trio. So wonderful. What a gift. Now is the time in our service for our story. Who would like to come down and hear it down in front? Come on down, sit in the front. It's your birthday. Happy birthday. Is it anybody else's birthday that we can wish a happy birthday? Happy birthday, Virginia. Anybody else? All right. Who has a birthday this year? Happy birthday, everyone. So I need a little bit of help. As you can tell, we're all sort of adapting. Dana, could you come up and help me a little bit, please? Our story this morning, here, can you hold my water, please? Because I'm just trying to manage all the things. Our story this morning is inspired by the story, What's in Your Cup by Thich Nhat Hanh, also adapted by April Rosario, also adapted by Reverend Jessica Clay. So who knows what our monthly theme is this month? Oh, I forgot something. Oh my goodness. Who knows what our monthly theme is? Paying attention. Dana, why'd you spill the water?
You ran into me.
I ran into you? That's not why the water spilled. It spilled because water was in the cup. What? It's true. If the cup had held tea, tea would have spilled. If you had been holding my very full cup of coffee over there, that would have spilled. Whatever's inside the cup comes out when it gets shaken. So this cup is the metaphor for us, right? Life is going to shake us. How many people have been shaken by life lately? Right? And it's going to bump into you when you're tired. How many people came to church this morning even though they're tired? I did. It's true. And it'll surprise you when you're stressed. It will test you when things feel unfair, like someone bumping into you and blaming you for it. And when that happens, we invite you to think about this morning, what's spilling out of you? Is it patience or anger? Is it kindness or harsh words? Is it gratitude or bitterness? Is it generosity or scarcity? Most of the time, we blame the bump, rightly so. We blame the other person and the situation, but the truth is that the bump doesn't create what spills out. It only reveals what's already inside. So the real question is, what am I carrying in my cup? Have I filled it with gratitude, honesty, kindness, and courage, with forgiveness, joy, gentleness, and love for others, and our coffee? All things to think about, because it matters what we pour into ourselves. It matters that we come here to pour goodness in, to get our graduate degrees in being human. You all, good humans, sorry, clarification. You all get an honorary degree from me. And when life shakes us, we come here to be grounded so that what spills out is from a place of generosity and care. So ends our story this morning. Let's sing our kids out to Kids Club with Go Lift It Up. Thank you. I love your shoes. Will you join me in the spirit of meditation as we make space to name what's on our hearts this morning? Let's just breathe into the space. If you're watching online, we invite you to try to find a moment of calm if you can. If you're doing something, to make a little space for quiet and centeredness. I invite you, if you're in the room, to cast your eyes down or close them or gaze out our windows. We lift into care this morning Stephen Freund, who is in the hospital receiving chemotherapy for a blood disorder. Prayers for him and his wife, Artis. We also lift into care this morning Myrna McAnenley, who is having surgery on April 1st for stomach cancer. Prayers of recovery and healing. And now you're invited to name who you would like to lift into prayer this morning. May these beloveds be held in a greater circle of love. We also lift into the space this morning those who are celebrating the spring equinox, the promise of spring around the corner. We lift into joy and celebration those who are celebrating Nowruz, the Persian New Year. Prayers of peace. Our meditation this morning is a Tonglen meditation by Reverend Laura Stevens. So I will be guiding you through this meditation, and there is time for quiet throughout. And in the words of Dr. Glenn Thomas Rideout, quiet is simply the absence of intentional adult talking. And everything else is just the symphony of the universe. Tonglen is a Tibetan Buddhist spiritual practice focused on compassion. And if anything becomes too much, you're always allowed to take a break. So first, we begin with ourselves. Imagine the cloud of suffering that you carry with you, however light or dense. I invite you to bravely breathe in that miasma, filter it through you. Breathe through it. And therefore, release into it kindness, healing, and anything else you need. You are powerful enough to hold suffering with care. Let's breathe into that for a few breaths. Next, let us expand our awareness to our closest loved ones and to those sitting around us. Picture their cloud of suffering, though you may not know the details. I invite you to bravely breathe in that miasma, filter it through you, and release kindness, healing, and anything else you wish for them. You are powerful enough to turn suffering into goodness, into peace, into care. Continue for a few breaths. Lastly, let us expand our awareness to the entire world. Picture the cloud of suffering, what we see every day on the news. It is so immense. But together we are powerful. I invite you to bravely breathe in that miasma, filter it through you, and release kindness, healing, and anything else you wish for them.
We are powerful enough to bear witness to the suffering of the world and to hold it with care. And let's just breathe together for a few moments. May it be so. Please remain seated and sing our middle hymn this month, We Belong to Each Other, which came out of the Singing Resistance movement by Annie Schlafer, and Dana and I are going to help lead.
Everyone, oh everyone, oh everyone of these people are just like we are theirs. We belong to them, and they belong to us. Everyone, oh everyone, oh everyone of these people are ours, just like we are theirs. We belong to them, and they belong to us.
Several times a year, we do a This I Believe service to hear from the people in our midst, to hear what they believe in. Today, we are grateful for our two speakers, the first of whom is Laura Berry. Laura grew up in Colorado, and after marrying her husband, Kevin, moved to Maryland for school and work. Nearly 3 years ago, they moved here so their daughters, 4-year-old Danielle and 2-year-old Emerson, could grow up with their grandma and cousins, just like Laura did. After 6 years in international development and one industry collapse later, she now serves as the Director of Business Operations for a nonprofit in Minneapolis. She is the published author of fantasy novels about powerful women overcoming fantastical challenges and falling in love with each other. Welcome, Laura.
Good morning. I'm Laura Berry, and my pronouns are she, her. I like to say that I came by Unitarian Universalism naturally, given my heritage. But the truth is, it was a long journey over a short amount of time. See, my mom was a Wiccan, and my dad is a Baptist. I like to adapt the quote from Harry Potter to say, Mum's a witch, Dad's a muggle. Bit of a nasty surprise when his family found out. When my mom was pregnant, people who knew both of their religions would ask my mom what they would raise me to be. Her answer never changed: tolerant. This story is about how that word shaped my faith. So my parents had an agreement. I'd go to church with my dad until I was old enough to choose for myself. End of elementary school was the deadline. So from age 4 till 2nd grade, every Sunday I went with my dad to Beth Eden Baptist Church. Till one day I told my dad I couldn't keep going to a place that said that people like my mom were evil, or required me to hide the fact that I didn't believe that Jesus Christ was my Lord and Savior. I knew that from a very early age. My dad would say, "This is what the Bible says, and I believe it." And my mom would say, "That's what the Bible says, and I don't." So my child brain concluded, Got it. It's a story. And I filed it right next to the Velveteen Rabbit, a story about belief making things real. So we left the Baptist church, and after trying several others, started going to Holy Cross Lutheran Church with my mom's parents. I liked the Lutheran Church. Sunday school was all about learning the Bible in a very academic way that fed the Hermione in me. During services, I sat between my grandparents, sucking on a Werther's caramel, listening to Jesus' messages of love, and saying the parts of the Apostles' Creed that I agreed with, and moving my lips during the rest. I remember the kind but constant pressure that it was time to accept Jesus. Then 6th grade came, the year the youth program started having real conversations about what you believe. I told my dad, they're not going to like what I believe, and I'm not going to lie about it. I think I'm ready for a different church. Luckily, by that time, my mom had found Jefferson Unitarian Church. See, Denver's Wiccan community was large enough that she always had people to go with for high holidays. But her practice was deeply personal and independent, very on brand for her. Still, she wanted a religious community, and the UUs were one of the only places that let her be exactly who she was. And JUC had something both my parents desperately wanted for me: OWL. Our whole lives is whole life sexuality education with age-appropriate, factually correct, liberal-inspired curricula for kindergarten through elder. JUC offered OWL in 7th grade, and that was when I became a full-time Unitarian Universalist. I had found my place, a place where neither of my parents were considered bad or broken for what they believed in God or creation. It felt like home. It was the first place to hire me, where I was the princess of the rummage sale, the youngest pledging member, and where I finally felt I could be me. It's still the place I give my time, my money, and my voice. Wherever I've traveled, I've always sought out Unitarian Universalism, whether studying abroad in Belgium or working for a summer in Rwanda. And like any home, it wasn't perfect. My dad never truly felt welcome. And after serving on enough committees, I learned that unanimity can be the death of progress. But that's my journey to Unitarian Universalism. But the question is, what do I believe? Here's the metaphor that put the pieces together for me. I love games, board games, computer games, Dungeons and Dragons. And in games, there's a concept called flavor text. Flavor text is the theming and the story around the mechanics of the game. So let me give you an example. Upside down. These are 2 different boards of Chutes and Ladders. This one has snake theming, but not a lot of flavor text. This one is the board I grew up playing, where the ladders are all good deeds leading to rewards, and bad deeds at the top of the chutes leading to consequences. This one has a story. It has flavor text. The flavor text teaches a lesson and makes the game tell a story. You don't need the flavor text, but it gives meaning to why you're taking an action. To me, religion is the flavor text of life. It gives meaning and it gives richness. It is the theming and story on top of answers to life's greatest mysteries. And importantly, these are the same game. Different people can engage the same deep truths through different flavor text. An unlikely sermon I heard as a teenager helped me come to this belief more than anything else. My friend Rosalind and I decided to do a church exchange, not to convert each other, but to understand each other. She took me to her non-denominational Christian church, which, for those of you if you don't know, is the ones with thousands of attendees and a full rock band. And the pastor gave a sermon I'll never forget. He talked about going to a baseball game with his family and going to the concession stand where it was loud and crowded. From somewhere behind him, his wife called out asking for a soda. No one else heard her, but he did, because he was attuned to her voice. After years of listening with attention and love. He said that God is like that, always speaking, always calling, but we only hear when we've practiced listening. And in that moment, something clicked for me. I'd spent so much of my life surrounded by messages that I agreed with that used words I didn't. God, repentance, forgiveness, communion, in stripping away the God language, the God flavor text. I suddenly heard the message underneath. I heard the universe saying, listen. Listen to what's underneath. And that was the moment that tolerance stopped being a family lesson and became the bedrock of my faith. If religion is the flavor text, then the important work is learning to hear the sacred message underneath. Because I believe the universe constantly shares messages full of meaning. I also believe there's a lot of crap sitting on top of, within, and all around the universe's deeper messages. Because some messages aren't universal. Some messages harm. Those are the ones I've learned to leave behind, and I'm not going back. To put this into my flavor text comparison, I will literally buy Christian board games from the thrift store, specifically for the movers and dice, and get rid of the rest. See, I grew up navigating belief systems, and tolerance became my way of honoring meaning without needing agreement. What has always drawn me to Unitarian Universalism has been the free and responsible search for truth and meaning, pluralism. Being tolerant of different flavor texts makes playing the game of life work. And that's how I plan to raise my kids. My husband and I plan to read Bible stories to our kids, the same illustrated ones that my dad read to me, and to treat them just like Harry Potter. Beautiful stories that shaped society, full of meaning, with questionable authors. And my kids will learn what I learned, that stories can be sacred without being literally true. Because sacredness isn't in the story itself, but in what the story inspires us to do. So what do I believe? I believe in free will, and I have since I was a willful preschooler who didn't believe that my dad's religion was any truer than my mom's, or my mom's any truer than my dad's. I believe that things that are holy to my dad or to my mom, but not to me, are still meaningful. I believe messages about how to live a better, fuller life are everywhere, and interpreting them is one of the greatest tasks of being human. And that the flavor text around those messages can be beautiful, meaningful, and memorable. I believe the meaning of life is to serve the world, and that one of life's challenges is not letting that service define you. I believe that in what my mom always called channeling the goddess, which might today be called vibing with the universe. When you can say what the universe needs said with the flavor text that's most meaningful to the person who needs to hear it. I didn't come to Unitarian Universalism because it had all the answers. I came because it made room for the questions, and it made room for me. Yes, it was in a Christian church that I heard the listen message, but it was because I heard it because I was already grounded in a religion that told me I didn't have to accept surface answers. Unitarian Universalism taught me to keep digging until I found a deeper truth. UU is the flavor text of my life. This faith became my home, and I am deeply thankful I spent my formative years in it. I want everyone who comes through our doors and needs us to know that they have found a home. I sustain my church because I know that no matter how much I over-volunteer, I will never be able to give back what it has given to me. Because the game of life is better when everyone has a place at the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. I might need to borrow that game because she told me the premise in between services. Whoo! That's what I have to say about that. So the game is called Generosity, though, and now we have an opportunity for generosity. Each week we have the practice of collecting for our offering plate. This is part of our annual budget, which funds the work that supports our mission. And once per year, we do our pledge drive, which launches today. Dana Boyle and Laura Berry are our co-chairs. Thank you both. And they and our stewardship team have dedicated their time and gifts to funding the work of growing our souls and serving the world in love. Are there members of the stewardship team here who would raise their hands? Okay. They're at the 9. Okay, there we go. Great. And our financial development committee also helps support this work, as does Aaron Scott. So our campaign this year is called Meet the Moment, and it encourages us all to rise to this moment that we are in. You should have received your envelope in the mail yesterday if you are a current pledger. I did. I was very excited to receive it. Nice job, Aaron, on the graphics, and the committee worked so hard on the letter and the contents. We have an ambitious campaign this year, as those of you who got the letter have seen, and you can find more information at the table in the atrium. But it tells the cost of running a congregation of our size. We are out of reserves, as many of you know. We are striving to balance our budget and seeking to support sustainable staffing in service to our mission. We're trying to increase our dues to the Unitarian Universalist Association, increase our funding around racial justice work, and pay an honor tax to local indigenous tribes. We're asking if you are able to please increase your pledge. You'll see the details in your letter. You're welcome to find a member of the stewardship committee available after the service at the table in the atrium if you have questions. Also, our Director of Operations, Karn Anderson, is on hand to answer questions about your pledges. While our offering accounts for 4% of our annual budget, our pledges account for 80%. So they matter, and every pledge matters. We're trying to get to 100% participation, and if you are not a member, you can still pledge. So, thank you for your generosity in this life we build and dream about together. The offering will now be received, and we invite you into prayerful discernment around your annual pledge. Thank you. One of the things I love about our church is that when people notice that something's not being done, they get up, they go get a basket, and they start the basket going. So thank you for those of you who moved in noticing that some extra support was needed there. Our next This I Believe is from Logan Dom. Oh, there you are. Logan joined our White Bear community nearly a decade ago, along with their family, their mom Sharon, their dad Min, and their brother Owen. Logan is currently a senior at Roseville Area High School, where they are an active member of the speech team. Logan is also our youth representative on the church board. And this August, with much sadness and much joy, Logan will be embarking on a new chapter as they head to college in Manitoba, Canada. I say sadness on my part. But before they go, they're here to share their This I Believe statement, a reflection on a decade of growth and the principles that ground them. Welcome, Logan.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Logan Dom, and I use they, them pronouns. I have been a Unitarian Universalist for almost a decade, but in the beginning, I hated the idea of even coming to White Bear. It meant waking up early, wearing a nice shirt, and sitting for what felt like hours in a pew. I slowly came to terms with church, mostly because in third grade, my mom, Sharon, started helping out with the RE classroom. We do arts and crafts while discussing the weekly story and how it fit in with the principles. I will be honest, I am still not exactly sure what to think about the story about the man running from the tiger and stopping to eat a strawberry while hanging from a vine. If I'm being honest, my primary spiritual drive back then was the cookies. In 5th grade, the shift began. I was asked to light the chalice for the month's theme. That theme being silence. Yes, I see the irony. Silence was a struggle for me then, and it still is. That same year, I discovered I was queer. Shocker. It felt weird telling people I went to church while being queer because of all the world talks about religion as a place of judgment. I dodged the question and I'd say, but my church is a good church. At the time, I didn't have the churchy word for it, but I was experiencing our first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. I didn't have to change who I was to fit into a pew. My worth was already a given the moment I walked through the doors. Then 6th grade hit, and so did COVID. Online church became our new reality. I struggled with the isolation, but through our community, I started to understand the 7th principle, the interconnected web. We talked about how we are responsible for more than just ourselves. We weren't just staying at home for our own safety. We were staying at home to protect the vulnerable. Being crammed onto the couch with my family, watching the service on Zoom was annoying, but it grounded me. It was a constant and otherwise unknown time. It was while we were still reeling from the isolation of the pandemic spring that our local community was shattered by the murder of George Floyd. Living in a suburb of the Twin City, the distance between my home and the city felt like it vanished overnight. Before that summer, I thought that it was enough to simply not be racist. I thought that as long as I didn't harbor hate in my heart, I was doing my part. But as our community cried out for justice, I realized that not racist is a passive state. I realized I had to be anti-racist. Although I wasn't old enough to vote at the time, I was proud as I watched our church community vote to adopt the 8th principle, to commit to dismantling racism and oppression in ourselves and in our institutions. This commitment to the eighth principle isn't just something we talk about. I saw it come to life this January and February. On a cold school day in January, hundreds of students at my school left their classes for a walkout in response to ICE's presence in Minneapolis. We walked to the parking lot next to our school, each of us with a similar mindset. Change must happen. I was worried people were going to get hurt, but looking around at the signs saying ICE out, immigrants make America, ICE terrorizes America, I felt hope. This was the good trouble I had heard about from the words of John Lewis. I also saw this church come together to help people impacted by ICE through giving their time, their money, their bodies, their hearts, their voices. By ninth grade, I started coming of age. We deconstructed the differences between a cult and a religion. We hunted for the definition of joy. We were putting the fourth principle into action. We practiced a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. I wasn't being told what to believe. I was given the tools to build my own altar of morals. I started showing up in our church community as an auction helper, as the angel Gabriel, lighting the chalice more often. I met more people in our community, but I still didn't feel like a Unitarian Universalist. Then came junior year when Nico asked me to speak at the National General Assembly in Baltimore. I turned 18 that June, and I was terrified. Navigating the airport and the city alone, I felt the weight of being fully responsible for myself for the first time. I was a wreck on the day of my speech. My hair felt weird, and my suit was too hot, and my heels didn't match. But as I looked out in the crowd, I saw Reverend Roger, Reverend Jessica, Reverend Sarah, Reverend Luke, Amy, and Nico, and I closed my eyes. And for a split second, I was back in White Bear, giving a chalice lighting to people who only wanted the best for me. As I spoke, something changed. I didn't feel like a kid anymore. I felt like an adult. I realized that the room was full of people who, though they didn't look like me, shared one strong commonality. We were all Unitarian Universalists. After the service, things briefly crumbled when a friend lost my bag and wallet while getting ice cream. I panicked, rightfully so, but Amy Peterson showed up and sat with me. We walked a mile back to the convention center in silence, and she made me feel calm. She had been a role model for me since I started at White Bear, constantly challenging me to open my mind to larger, more complex ideas. On the walk, I started babbling to her about the religious moments I, an atheist UU, had finally experienced. Amy pointed out that that was my belief box. This brings me to my belief box, a snapshot of the values I hold sacred. Inside, you'll find my state medal from speech, a reminder to use my voice and work with others. My GA lanyard, a reminder that youth voices matter. My voice matters, and the community exists even among strangers. Now, bear with me for this next one. I actually don't have it. It's a pageant script. You guys both know I never use that thing, but it's in there. As a reminder to be silly, joyful, and to stop caring about what other people think. A photo that I took from the No Kings protest. I don't know if it shows up. Oh yeah, okay, good. No Kings protest. A reminder to investigate, never obey in advance, and to listen for dangerous words. In August, I head to college in Manitoba. I will be in a new country. under a different sky, far from the pews of White Bear and the cookies of my childhood. It's scary, though, leaving the foundation I've stood on for almost a decade. But as I prepare to cross the border, I realize that I'm not just leaving my foundation behind. I am the foundation. Sorry, this church didn't just give me a place to sit. It gave me the blueprint for my life. When I think of that fear, I think of Baltimore. I think of sitting alone at the airport, doubting myself. And when the moment I spoke in front of thousands and realized I wasn't alone. Everywhere I went, I found people who valued the same things I did. Justice, curiosity, and the dream to build a better world. As I leave, I'll bring my belief box. I'll bring the reminder to use my voice, to be silly, to question, and to stand up when something isn't right. Because that's what a community does. It stays with you even when you're miles away. It turns out, I think I finally understand the story from 3rd grade. The world is full of tigers, but at least we have each other. There will always be strawberries. Thank you.
Thank you. For my closing today, because I know everybody is ready for a cookie at this point after our beautiful sharing, I'm going to give you a very condensed version of my This I Believe. I believe in people. I believe that people are inherently good, and sometimes they lose their way. Sometimes for the whole of their adult lives, they lose their way. But I still believe that people are inherently good. I love people. This is what sustains me in ministry. I'm so inspired, uplifted, and challenged by our relationships together as we move towards building the world we dream about. I believe that we can pivot and change even though it's hard. I believe that everyone is carrying secret griefs and loneliness. These are in our cups. I believe in the power of community to tell our children and youth that they matter, that their voices are welcomed and supported in the congregation, even if sometimes the lingo might be a little hard to understand, or the concepts that seem to come so easily to them come a little bit slower to me. I believe that congregations like ours can make a powerful difference in the world, but it starts here. So recently, we asked a group of leaders in the congregation a reflection question. We said, when you think about your life in the past year, where has White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church shown up for you in care, joy, courage, or connection? And Laura and Dana are going to share a couple of the responses.
So I'll start. Courage to train as a legal observer and step into resistance and mutual aid.
WBUUC has been very important in connecting me to others who share my values and want to engage in positive actions. We've shared a lot of joys and sorrows in the past year, and this community shows up for me in many ways when I have a sorrow or illness.
As our community deteriorates, our church has provided a beacon of hope and support.
This moment in my country is very troubling to me. WBUUC provides a place for exchange of ideas and perspectives and for emotional support. It's a place where I connect with others who also want to make a difference in determining our future and supporting those of us who are impacted.
WBUUC introduced me to singing resistance, which helped me feel like I was doing something.
Sermons that reflect joy, sorrow, resilience, all those emotions I run through daily. Courage of members and staff as they do their individual forms of resistance. Friends, young and old, new and soon to be.
I have felt surrounded and upheld by a beloved community of like-hearted people.
WBUUC has been a great motivator for my involvement in political advocacy. I'm part of a core group of WBUU friends who are my rock.
Thank you. These are just a few of the replies that we received, and I'm guessing that many of you have your own. And this is the work that matters. This is our mission of opening hearts and growing souls to serve the world in action. This is what your pledges are going to support. I believe in people. I believe in all of us, that all of us are needed and that together we can answer the call to respond, the call to be present, to listen, the call towards generosity, because it's about we, all of us, as we answer the call to show up for each other. I believe in us. And with that, will you rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 1028, The Fire of Commitment. We're just going to sing 2 verses today. Our benediction is adapted from Reverend Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high as we rise to meet this moment. Take courage, for deep down there are other truths, truths that we remember in community. Here we choose each other. We choose justice and love. Here we remember the deeper truth, that we are not alone. Take courage. Amen. Will you turn and greet your neighbor and tell them, thank you for coming to church today?